Blake's taking his temperature. He looks safe. Peter's dancing. He looks safe. You look safe. Pretty. You look quick. You look good. It is May the 19th. Hello, dear listener, dear viewer. Of course, you can catch us here every night here at 8:30 on the Daily Debrief on NATO. There's Blake Ashford there as well and Mark Head. Of course, you can also catch us on iTunes. You can find us on Spreaker. You can find us on Spotify. You can go through the Tribe app. There's many ways you can find us. Just make sure you tell other people about them. Invite them along.
Invite them along. Who are you to keep us to yourself? Selfish.
Exactly.
Share us.
Exactly. Hey, look, May the 19th, always a great day because you know what today is, don't you, fellas? Did you raise a glass?
100%.
Of course.
And you said, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, mate.
Andre Rozanov.
Gnubler.
This day in 1946, he became known as Andre the Giant. So happy birthday to you, Andre the Giant. Dead. So I have to say it very loud. Died in 1993. But there you go. And he only saw the Bulls win 2 titles. So that's a hell of a shame.
Yes.
Do we have any COVID cases today? I missed all the news. Zero.
Zero again.
Oh.
Yes.
Is that us?
Yep.
Are we done?
0 today. No. I saw a thing. So they're trying to get to, what do they call it? Basically 28 days of nothing, and then we'll go back to level 1.
Jesus, talk about lofty goals. I was here,
so hugs are on, man. Hugs are on.
Yeah.
Hugs are all on. It's just,
I can't wait to touch someone.
Oh, it is, mate. Yeah, chest to chest. It's going to be chest to chest in New Zealand. You just go and chest to chest anybody that you want. Tonight, we're going to get into this new format and what's going on in the NBL, the basketball around New Zealand. You might have seen a little bit about that, but we've got the boss man coming on, Justin Nelson, who's coming with us. But I think it would be remiss of me, Piet, if I didn't head live to Tamworth today because inside the Hornets' nest, of course, is Blake Ashford. He's got his specialist microphone. Hello, Blake. Can you hear me? Come on in.
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Everyone's injured.
Another great day. Yeah, another injury, man. Feel sorry for this kid, Adam Keegren. Obviously, everyone would have seen it today out in the media.
Excuse me. We've talked before, and you keep calling him that. Why are we always told in the media it was Kieran? Adam Kieran.
I'm allowed to call him whatever.
I know, I'm just asking, do you know something because you're boys with them that we don't know in the media that was...
Nah, it's just, I call him Kegs, like as a nickname, Kegs.
Right, okay.
Oh, yeah, so you got the Keg.
Yeah, so, but he's, so that's why I go Adam Keegren.
Okay, well, we're going Keegren from here on out too.
Yeah, the Keg man.
Well, yeah.
Keg man.
But I feel sorry for, he's gone to have scans and we don't know what it is yet, but fingers crossed it's not bad, man, because he's a young kid and you know, it's hard to see young kids do that.
Where does scans happen? Because I know that, okay, so you guys get over there at the Warriors Hotel at Mercure, Tamworth, and you've got physio and that kind of deal. When something like this happens, what's the arrangement for one of the Warriors?
So, obviously, we can't go outside the fenced-off area. We have to get a police escort to go to the hospital, I believe it is. I haven't been able to go. Yeah, we can't go. Obviously, only the doctor and the patient can go, and they get a police escort all the way to hospital, police escort back, and that's what it is. So, it's pretty
crazy.
Full on. Yeah, but hey, I've got protocols. I'm only on for half hour because I've got to go do my protocols. Got to get our testing right because after that, I'm out of isolation.
Right.
And, you know,
so is this a full team squad meeting where you all have to sit down and they explain to you what the next protocol setup is that you guys will be facing? Because when do you leave? When do you guys head away from Tamworth?
So we're going to Central Coast tomorrow about midday. I think we'll leave. So the boys, we've got something tomorrow. The MP and people are going to come and see everyone off, and the boys are going to thank everyone and hop on the bus, and then we're off to Central Coast. Is
it Nate? I don't mean I don't know what the rules are here. Is it a haka occasion? When you're leaving Tamworth, do we whoop out a quick haka and say kia ora?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, to say thank you. Yes, you could. Definitely could. It's a celebration.
You know what? I might toss that up.
Oh, don't you? Yes. You wouldn't.
I might toss it up. I won't be jumping in, obviously, but I might toss it up.
Yeah. Be a bit of fun. See, I always think the way my dad explained it to me was that if you see a haka being done at you, it's because you are exceptional or special. So that's what that means. Like beforehand, it's I'm going to play you a sport and you're awesome. So I'm letting you know you're awesome. And I'm about to give it a zillion. that there. But in this case, it's like, oh, you've been awesome for us, I'll do that. So that sounds about right, doesn't it, Blake?
It does. Well, they've been exceptional for us. Like, I couldn't imagine being in a room by myself for, like we said, for 2 weeks. So to have all these facilities roped off for us, and the people that are working behind, like, they have to wear face masks almost 24/7 so they don't get our breath or anything else.
Well, I have two separate things that have popped up into my head after hearing that conversation. One is a bit of a waste of time then doing the haka in front of the Wallabies, maybe. They're not exceptional rugby, I'm just saying. And secondly, Andrew Rue says, Blake, suit up, please. Got $100 bet with 3 mates that you will play at least 1 minute this season. Make it happen. Make Andy that hundy.
Hey, for Andy, for that. All right, one minute. 1 minute. I'll see what I can do. No, it's good. What about the draw? Or they've allocated grounds to certain teams?
Yes.
You've seen that. So it's good for the Warriors in a sense that we get to play at Central Coast. So it's only 20 minutes from where we're staying. So it could have been worse. We could have had to play at Campbelltown or somewhere. So we obviously still have to play at those grounds, but our home games at Central Coast.
All right.
So, okay, so wait, so I'm confused. So you will move to the Central Coast. That's not 20 minutes from Tamworth. Sorry, my Australia drive.
No. Sorry, it's about 6 hours. So 6 hour drive tomorrow.
Yeah. But then back. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but the only tough ones when obviously you have to travel the away game. So the first week we've got Dragons at Central Coast. It's a home game. Then the next week we have to about hour and a half, 2 hour bus trip to Campbelltown to play the Panthers.
Hey, sorry, Blake, to be morbid, and I don't know if you're even allowed to tell us, because you are obviously you're in the privileged position of watching the boys train. When Adam Kegren went down, was it a contact injury? Was it a land on his own weight injury? And did it look? What did you see? Did you see it happen? I guess is probably the question. And do you think he's bad?
No, I don't.
Okay,
I personally, but obviously I'm not a doctor, and like from seeing it, I think it could be like 6 to 8, but that's me. I'm fingers crossed that it's not the ACL like we've seen Bunty and Jackson do so far, and Tane Milne also. So fingers crossed that it's not that. But only the scans will tell me. And it didn't look too much like anything. It was just caught a high ball, landed, and then went down. So
right.
Like the Scotty Pippen rebound landing and saw back.
Back, mate. How bad was that?
Oh, watching him try and run.
Horrid.
That hurt to look at. So, like, Blake, because I know people want to know. We've got plenty of Warriors fans watching. Like, how deep are we into the depth roster right now?
We're pretty deep, man.
Side. Yeah.
No, we are pretty deep. Like I said, I had to train yesterday, so that's that's scraping the barrel. They're still looking for exemption, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I'd have to speak to someone to see whether they're getting a exemption for whether it be salary cap or loan players. So there's 2 ways you can get the exemption of salary cap, where you can get more players in and pay, or loan players as players that aren't playing in their top squad. You can get them over for experience. So you think the NRL clubs would help out, seeing as the game's on because of us. But I'm not too sure.
Who just logged onto the stream out of us three?
Because that was me. I just wanted to read that. I wanted to try and read the things here. 10 degrees in the headlight north. No, because I saw that. I saw that Sam Thaiday had. He sent out a grade that I'll be there. I can give you a solid 15.
Thaiday. That's an East Coast name, isn't it? Thaiday.
Thaiday. No, I think they're from near Ruwharu.
Are they?
The Thaidays. Yeah,
the Thaidays.
How good was it? The what do you say? The utility with ability.
Yeah, I like that.
Bang.
That sounds a bit warrior.
Hey, shall I bring on the? I want to make sure we're done with the league chat before I bring on our GM, Justin Nelson.
Wait.
No.
Another thing is because I just quick before I came on, I saw that. So the referees' talks is broken down. So just before we get too excited, the referees' talks have broken down. But apparently that's not all. It's not over yet, right? So they've rejected it, and it's at something in the Australian Parliament called Fair Work or something like that. So now it's up to Fair Work to decide if just cutting your workforce down to one ref was okay.
So if they still stay on strike, I'm pretty sure Peter V'landys is still going to find some other refs, isn't he, from somewhere?
Oh, wow. Imagine that. We've got some age grade refs around, don't we? We've got some
Keanu Reeves, the replacement refs.
I want the old big fat fella that plays, that does the senior reserves, 7th grade, and this real overweight and a referee that doesn't keep up with the play. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, Blake Ashford referee could happen.
There'd be some more money. The whole viability of the game is at stake. V'landys on the screen.
Bang.
Heck.
Yeah.
Hey Andy, just a quick question before we move on. Andy, does it count if he does some refereeing? You've asked him to play at least 1 minute for the season. This is Andy. He says, Blake, suit up, please. Got a $100 bet with 3 mates that you will play at least 1 minute this season. Make it happen. Yeah. Would it count if he did at least 1 minute refereeing? Waterboying?
Waterboy.
Anything like that? Because Stace might need to play. I'm just...
yeah. I tell you what, he's still got it too.
He's still got it.
Mate.
All right, I'm bringing in the GM, so let's behave. No swearing.
Okay, right.
Let's play some ball. Speak proper, Blake. Good questions.
Hello. There we go. Look, we've got it working.
There he is.
Yes.
Can you hear us? You good?
Yeah, I can. How are you?
Good, mate. How are you? Okay, so let me go around the room and quickly introduce everyone. So I'm Mark. Blake's over here. He's actually in Tamworth at the moment with the Warriors boys. And
Aussie.
Yep, and then NATO's got he's doing the Lord's work with the marketing behind him with the Sal's Authentic New York Pizza, NBL New Zealand. So, Justin, thank you so much for joining us today. We've got so many questions about this new competition. We are a slew of questions we just want to throw at you so you're like, and see how well you can answer them. First of all, it's exciting. There's going to be some basketball. There's going to be some local basketball, which is cool because we know how popular basketball is around the world, and let's hope the rest of the world sort of sits up and takes note of how we ball. So good for you on that. What has been the most common question that has come your way once you sort of put this forward?
Gee, that's a really, really good question to start with because there's just been so many questions to be honest. Look, there's been a lot of questions today about the draft. It's really created it's a unique thing, and there's no doubt that's become something that everyone's attached themselves to straight away. But I think the most common question throughout, to be honest with you, is how you going? And I mean that by it's just such a changed environment, and there's been so much work over the last 2 months. It's been really tiring, to be honest. And I think it's just I take it on board as being a Kiwi thing. I'm from Australia, obviously, and I've been here just about a year and a half now. But just people saying, "Hey, how are you going with it?" And that's been good to know that people actually see behind all the organisational part, and it just asking, how's it coming along? How are you going? And I've really appreciated that because, the hardest thing in all of this is we've had to change. We've had to adapt. It's a different world we live in now. And, any sport out there is noticing the same thing. If you don't change, you're going to get left behind. Normal is gone. It's out the window.
Justin, is this about, right, let's make a profit this season, or is it about just get ourselves out here so that we are there?
Yeah, look, I can assure everybody now that there's no profit involved whatsoever. It's about keeping the thing alive. Our teams, on an average, from a revenue viewpoint, across the board, would be 90% down. 90%. That's how much they've been affected. So our teams have done an extraordinary job. The 7 that are playing to get to where they are right now. From a league viewpoint, we are very, very fortunate that over the last 12 months, we've done so much work behind the scenes with this league to increase its commercial partnerships, its ability to engage with broadcasters and overseas opportunities. That's allowed us to build our commercial revenue to a stage where, for the most part, the league is footing the bill. And it's going to be a big bill. We have to invest, but we're investing in this in 2020 for the future, because the fact is, if we don't invest in it right now, it may not be here in the future. And that's just not a Sal's NBL thing. You know, the English Premier League's going through the same thing. The AFL in Australia, the NRL, every league is going through this same situation that if you don't keep going and you've got an opportunity to keep going, you risk the future.
Justin, have you, I mean, I guess from what you're looking at and what we can see and read on paper, it looks like the future is what you're aiming for here with a draft, with, you know, there are certain teams that have been the stalwarts of the NBL for years and years and years who aren't even involved with it. It's almost like you've said, here's what we're doing, you're either on board or not, and if you can't, you know, if you can't play ball, then you're out, kind of thing. And that's your focus is really the future. So I'm interested in the players though. Have you got all the players that we would know who usually play in our NBL teams, or are there some who aren't playing because they were contracted to, let's say, the Saints or who else were there, the Hawks?
Oh, look, to cover the first part, you know, the three teams that aren't playing, and let's remember there's 7 teams that are playing. So the exciting thing is in 2021, we look like having 10 teams. So I think that's a really exciting thing for the NBL. The 3 teams that aren't playing, they each have different reasons. There's no one reason that's the same. And the fact is that every business, and it's not just sport, it's community, it's cafes, it's restaurants, it's bars, it's chemists, it's bakeries, it's everything. Everyone's business has changed so much. And for the 3 teams that aren't competing, their reasons are valid. We respect their reasons, and they're now going through a process over the next, 6 to 10 months of rebuilding their business in preparation for 2021. And that's okay. That's absolutely perfectly okay. What we have is we have 7 teams who are ready to go right now, who are ready to step on court and be a part of the 2020 competition. With regards to the changes that we've made, and the draft is a big one, the thing that stood out straight away through communicating with our teams, nice background change there too, I like that.
You like that? Yeah.
You know, very, very good. The 2 things that stood out straight away was we had to develop a pool of players for teams to access, because in the smaller regions, they get 3 imports every year. They may not necessarily have the ability to bring in the same players. There's younger players who are at school. They may not be available. Full-time work may not be available. So we had to develop this player pool for them to select from. The other side is our teams this year, for the first time ever, are actually investing the same amount of money in this competition. Now, it's been greatly, greatly reduced. Like I said, their revenue slashed by 90% on average. So greatly reduced, but they're investing the same. So we had to come up with a form of equality, a way to distribute the talent, so we are competitively balanced. Now, the fans are going to love that, and it's actually a big step for our league to go, hey, here's an opportunity for us in an unprecedented situation to look at a system where we can competitively balance the competition, and the draft is a way of doing that. I want to tune in just like everybody else and sit there and go, I don't know who's going to win this game. I've got no idea who's going to win. Last season, 2/3 of the way through the season, the top 4 was settled. That's not a good competition. That's a 2-speed league. This may see a bit of a change to that.
With the you talked about the players pool. How do you become eligible? How do you become eligible for the draft? Like, can there people come from overseas, do the 2 weeks
or off the
isolation,
street,
and then be in the draft?
I'd like to nominate myself to be available. Sorry, no, I said that out loud. That was an inside thought.
No, you should.
Yeah, one of the things I'm looking for when the draft registration process opens is there's no doubt there's going to be a lot of people that I've probably never heard of.
That'd be so good. I was in the draft. I didn't quite make it, but I was in the draft.
So I hope our coaches and recruiting scouts know their players back to front. The draft registration process for players will open next Monday, and that will last for 11 days. So from Monday through 2 weeks to the following Friday. So all the players across New Zealand will have a chance to register, and they go into the overall pool that can be selected from. So if you don't register, you're not eligible to play. You have to register in order to be eligible to play. With regards to who can register, anyone who's in New Zealand. So that includes internationals like Jared Weeks, who's currently in New Zealand. He can register to be drafted. However, also Kiwis overseas. So Kiwis who are in Australia who want to come back and play can do that. They've got to go through the government protocol. But international players who are currently offshore cannot play.
So maybe a guy who used to play in the smoke-free Rising Suns Gisborne team might, second div. I mean, second div. It wasn't far off first div, so might be registering. That's awesome. I mean, that's really inclusive and it's different and it's changed. But it's not what you're saying to me. What I'm taking out of this is this may not be how we do it in the future. This is simply how we're going to do it this season, and we look forward to the season after that, where we could possibly have 10 teams as a part of the league.
Yeah, Cells are going to love this at the moment.
Oh yeah, should you?
Yeah, that's great.
Look at those hot wings.
They're good wings too. They're very, very good.
They are. That's sauce though. That's the secret.
Nice.
That's your fill right there.
I like it. I think that I was asked today in one of the interviews, is the draft going to be something that stays with us? And the fact is, we put the draft together because of a unique situation that we're in 2020. That's why it's there. Who knows? I mean, we may get people at the end of this sit back and go, hey, can we have a talk about this? Can we have a look at it? It'd be a great conversation. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, we've gone into this process with the mindset that this is a once-off. But we've seen in world sport many, many, many times that once-offs can actually become something bigger in the future.
Because it's a one-off, are you thinking about doing it big? Like, how are we going to do it? Are we going to have the people in suits at tables or cameras in their houses?
Can we vlogcast from there? Can we set up a little booth and watch it all happen?
I want to see this. I want to see this.
I like where your minds are going. So
yeah,
we'll announce more to do with the draft on Thursday. I can give you a bit of a.
You don't know, do you, Justin? That's always what you say when you haven't worked it out yet.
No, we've worked it out. Trust me. We're on version 6. We've worked it out.
Version 6.
The draft will be broadcast live, we believe, by Sky Sport. So that's the first thing. So really big tick, great broadcast partners, and we're really excited about that. There's 2 key elements to the draft. So, and we'll release this information on Thursday, but I'm giving you a bit of a heads up. Teams have 4 criteria in which they can pre-select players. So whether they're players that they already signed for 2020, whether they're locals and live in the region or went to the school in the region for 4 years, or whether they've played the most minutes of their NBL career to date for that particular team. So there'll be a pre-selection process.
How many players per team will be pre-selected? Just to get this in my mind.
So it's like protecting, is it?
Teams can do whatever they want.
Right.
But you need to understand that once you see that draft pool, you've got to be very particular about who you pre-select, and you have to rank players. So when you pre-select a player, you're putting them in a rank of 1 to 10.
Right.
So you've got to be really careful, because if you fill up early spots, you miss early spots in the draft. Now, the other thing that will be released on Thursday is there'll be a top ranked 14 that goes out to teams. So we've got an independent panel that actually rank 14 players. And when teams go through their pre-selection process, they can't have any more than 2 from that top 14. So we'll be distributing the top end talent amongst the 7 teams. So we'll be releasing all of this in layman's terms on Thursday. It's about an 8-page document for the teams themselves, and the coaches have been busy going through it. But there's lots of little particulars. Now, there's one other thing that we haven't shared with anybody today.
Hang on.
That is that following the draft, there'll be a 3-day trade window.
Oh, yes.
Ooh. I was just about to ask you that. That's great, because my strategy is I'm drafting every single point guard. So I've got all of them. And then I go, right, you know what I mean?
I like it. So teams will have a chance to assess their roster. And at this stage, they'll pick 12 players. 2 of them will be emergencies, but they'll have a chance to assess their roster, and then 3 days to complete any trades before we then go to the draft. So it's really unique how that's the trade window is after the draft. They'll be able to pre-select, go to the draft. We won't announce all of those pre-selections until draft night. So for everybody watching, they're finding out the teams as they happen for the first time. And then we have a trade window of 3 days.
All right. Hey, I've got to love yous and leave yous, fellas.
You've got protocols.
I could have just left, mate.
Yeah, I got some protocols. No, because I just wanted to say one question. If you got us 3, maybe a second or 2 behind Sky, and we can sit there. I don't know if you've seen the draft night, and they predict the players who'll go next.
Oh, yeah.
Next, that could be outside. Hey,
Yeah.
I'll leave it with you.
I like the idea. Hey, I've been with you for
Woj.
20 minutes. I'm getting to know you for the first time, but you're leaving me already, so that's not a good sign.
Yeah, that's not a good
No, the protocol.
It's usually a two-man show anyway. Don't worry about it, Blake.
I'll explain it, mate. Hey, awesome to meet you. See you later.
Nice to meet you. All the best. Thank you.
He's got the protocol
Justin.
he has to go and work with the Warriors. They're about to step into a next protocol, so they need to learn all the different stuff.
And look, what a monstrous undertaking that is. You know, I think about what we've been through in the last 8 weeks in putting this together. You know, I've been watching other sports really, really closely. I'm big in motorsport and into motorsport and been following the V8s and Formula One. But gee, what the Warriors have taken on is quite remarkable. Hats off to them.
Yeah, he's been away for 5 weeks. Well, he's going to be away. Yeah.
Far too long. We get messages from the audience all the time. Robbie Reyes Daly's written in, is there a way to get memberships for the new Huskies team? Because it's that weird thing of like Auckland represented by Hobart, but Auckland.
Yeah, a little bit different. And sorry, just to go back a step, I didn't quite answer the question before. You asked a question about players that were originally signed for the Saints.
Yes.
Whether they would be eligible. The answer is absolutely yes. And
So
we
they
expect a number of those players to be playing. And the good thing is, you know, I heard from the Sharks the other day, and they've been meeting with their players, and they're encouraging them to go and play, because this most likely will be the only competition that these guys will play in 2020. This will be the only time they get on court. And I think a really exciting thing, before I come back to the memberships, is the Tall Blacks have got an international window in November against Australia and Hong Kong. Our Tall Blacks coaching staff are going to be watching this competition with real interest. Never, ever before have we had a 6-week window, player against player, team against team, that is just so talented with Kiwis. We're going to see some rising stars coming through this competition. There's some beauties that have come back from American colleges who want to play for the Tall Blacks, so look out. With the memberships, we're looking at a couple of unique ways for fans to engage with their teams as members for 2021, but using the 2020 competition as a chance for them to get to know the teams, get to know the players, get to know the brands, and build memberships around 2021. So watch this space. We're working on it. We love the fact that you're already talking about the Auckland Huskies. And who would have thought that, you know, given the changes to the competition at the end of last year with the Rangers out, here we are today talking about 2 franchises in the Auckland region, in the Auckland Huskies and the Franklin Bulls. Really exciting.
Justin, how many players are you thinking will enter into the draft? Predicting, how many would you like to think will actually put their names forward?
Well, it depends if you guys take up spots.
Well, there's one already. Okay, I'm going to do it just for the sake of doing it.
You do it, so you're in the draft.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. The only thing that, and I've been asked a fair bit about who's playing and who's not. The player registration window is a chance for those players to make a choice. As I said before, chances are it's the only time they'll get to play in 2020. I can't see any other competition, including the Australian NBL, being available in 2020. They're already looking at starting in January 2021. And we've got that international window in November. So I hope they all play. I hope they all put their hands up, and I hope that we're sitting there through the pre-selection and draft, and there's 150 players to choose from. And the coaches have got an unbelievably hard job of working out who to take.
Yeah.
I'd love to have, you know, seeing guys on the news a day after the draft, you know, disappointed that they haven't been picked up.
Yes.
So I don't know. All I know is we had to change, we had to adapt, and we had to do something different. We've been creative. We've been open and transparent through the whole time, even when a few people were kicking us. We want the guys back out there playing. The fans want the players back out there playing. Financially, we're doing everything we possibly can to support them. Workload, we're doing everything we can. It's down to 3 games at the most per week. You know, we'll have physios and medical around them, and strength and conditioning and rehab and gymnasiums and swimming pools and all those sorts of things. I hope they all play, because I want to see them out there just as much as we do.
Yeah.
Is there any chance for you, I'm just thinking like with other revenue streams and stuff, to be able to sell I guess the rights to the footage overseas as well? Because I mean, there's not going to be that many. I mean, we've seen it, right? Like a few weeks ago, we were watching Belarusian ping pong. Got into that, you know what I mean? There was all sorts. So there would be people wanting to see live basketball.
Have you been sitting in on my meetings?
No. I'm just thinking.
Look, we hope to announce by the end of the week a global pay-per-view platform outside of New Zealand, so people around the world can pay a small amount. I think the starting price for a season pass will be $15, something like that. But we are making this competition in 2020 available globally. So no matter where you are in the world, you're going to be able to watch 56 games of Cells NBL basketball. Obviously, everybody here in New Zealand is going to be able to watch through our great partners in Sky Sport and Sky Sport Next and stuff, and tune in and watch the games, Prime TV, which is really, really good.
Have you thought, Justin, of any of the damages that this sort of style of what you're doing could do to some of the brands that are sort of well established here in the NBL? Like, and I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy here, but I am interested to hear your thoughts on it. Let's say the Saints were a part of, right? And they obviously have this proud kind of lineage of how they like to run things. They usually have the best roster, hands down, most times. And they put a lot of work into that. So with this and deciding to, you can keep a couple of players and you put everyone else into the draw and then everyone's only allowed to play the same amount. For business and for a team that's really set itself up by doing that, have you thought about what that kind of means to them missing out in the same? I don't know if that was the reason why they're missing out, but I'm feeling like, it's sort of a little different to how it's always been run. Any damage control?
Look, only they could answer that. That's their choice. They had they had an opportunity to play, as did the Sharks and the Hawks, and we would absolutely love all of those three teams playing. There's no question about that. But we're really excited that we've got the 7 teams playing that we have. Again, for different reasons, and they are completely different, all three. They're not ready to go, and they've decided to hold back and rebuild and look at the things that they need to look at in order to be there for 2021. I hope it doesn't damage anybody. I don't want it to damage any brand, any player, any coach. I love the game. And I want to do everything I possibly can with the team that I've got around me to deliver basketball for the people of New Zealand for 6 weeks in the wonderful city of Auckland. I mean, what a great backdrop for the Cells NBL. The thing that I want to see is I want to see 10 healthy teams there in 2021. And that includes the Saints, the Sharks, and the Hawks joining the 7 that we've got. The biggest kick that I'll get out of the competition in 2020 is knowing that the young boys and girls are going to be sitting at home with their families 5 nights a week. 5. Who would ever have thought the Cells NBL 5 nights a week, prime time, 5:30, 7:30.
You're running New Zealand sport at the moment, like you're rugby right now.
Unbelievable. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday nights. It's a basketball feast. I want those young kids to tune in with their families and know that because they're seeing the stars running around, because they're seeing the elite players in this country running around, they then go, hey, basketball's not too far away for me too. I'm going to be back on court as well really soon. And for me, what we're doing is bigger than just the Cells NBL. What we're doing is about basketball. And that's a really important thing that everybody needs to take on board. We are being the shining light. Our players are being the role models to everyone who loves this game in the country and around the world, saying to them in such, can I swear on this show?
Yep.
Yes. Oh, yes.
In such a shit time for the world, we're getting the message out there saying, hey, we're back. The game is back. Basketball is back, and it's not too far away for you either. And to me, that's the biggest message in all of this.
I love the draft idea. I have to, like, I love it. That type of stuff does, like, I'm one of those people who, on draft week in the NBA or even for the NFL and stuff like that, you just sit there and, who's coming next? And that, the idea of does Sky share your vision? And you can be completely honest here, because if Sky at any stage say no, we will fucking be there with mics, and we will. I
love it.
We want to see you with a hat. We want to see you with an oversized suit on and shaking the hands and giving the Huskies hat over.
Yeah. I think the thing I always remember the most from NBA drafts is the league commissioner, and I'm no better. I'm 5'11", is usually a foot shorter than every other player. So it's always that shot like this. When we came up with the draft, we came up with it for the reason of equality, so talent distribution and obviously that player pool. But the more that we looked into it, and the more that we molded it, and the three guys that have put this together. And I'm happy to give them give them a plug, or two of them, because the third one was me. I don't need to give myself a plug. But Hugh Bainan, who's a wonderful commentator and loves the Cells NBL, big part of Sky Sport, and Dylan Boucher. And I mean, we all know, Dylan's track record as a basketballer. So that's our independent panel. There's three of us. We can talk to anybody and bring any expertise in. But we're the guys that have sat down and put this together. And the more that we worked on it, the more we thought, geez, the fans may actually really enjoy this. The fans may actually think that this is something new, exciting, different, and creative and really intriguing in what had to be a changed season. We had to change, otherwise we wouldn't have been back out there.
Well, we might have
Aidan
to play
McLaughlin's just sent. He's just sent through a brand for you. He's gone. This is the first dance.
Sorry, who is it? Who is it?
That's Aidan McLaughlin. He's watching
yes,
now live.
Aidan,
yep. This is the first dance, you could call it. Just some ideas that have come in now. There's a lot of excitement about the Otago Nuggets coming back, which is cool. Yeah. Probably a lot of people remembering Leonard King days there. But Robbie's asked, how about an All-Stars game at the end of the comp, since all the players will be together?
Look, it's a really good question. I've already asked if you can swear on this show. Can you drink on this show?
Yes, you may.
Yeah. Oh,
yes.
right. Yeah.
It's just that I've got a beer sitting here. So.
Yes. No, we've.
And it's been a long day.
Yeah. No, we've had an entire whiskey night on the show. I believe it was. That went downhill after about 38 minutes. It went really well. Yeah, but just remember that one there, an All-Star game.
Yeah, look, I don't know that we could get an all-star game. When we announce the schedule tomorrow, it's 5 weeks of regular games, everyone playing each other. And then the last week is actually all 7 teams through to the finals. But the higher you finish, the better chance you've got of getting through to the grand final. So it's a unique final system that we've put in place as well. And that way the fans, if your team comes good at the right end of the season, look out, you're in business. We are looking at the prospect of running some different things at half times in games, some play, because we're going to have no fans. There's going to be nobody in the stadium that we know of at the moment. So, whether there's 3-point shootouts, whether there's, some dunking going on, we don't know. We might get them doing egg and spoon. I don't know what the guys want to do, but, we're going to try and be creative and entertaining and just do some different things. There'll be a lot of interview. All the players and coaches are in one spot in Auckland. So it gives us just such a great chance to talk to these guys and learn more about them. And, Jack Salton, Virginia Tech, and the chance to interview these players in one place. It's never been done before. It's unique. It's great.
That's certainly, the pros are certainly outweigh the cons, and I don't know if there are any cons as much, but it seems like an amazing idea, and everything's sort of flowing in together. Have you put any thought out to I guess the players who will be on display with Sky? Is that where Piero's going to be doing? Have you heard that Piero's going to be looking at those players, and that's going to be kind of where he's picking his team for the tour?
Look, there's no doubt in my mind. I spoke to Pero. What day are we today? I spoke to Pero late last week.
I'm just asking for a friend who's looking to write his name down.
Right. No, he's genuinely excited. He just loves the fact of having so many Kiwis in the one place for a compact amount of time, playing on court against each other. There is no doubt that our Tall Blacks coaches, there'll be some there. Some of the Tall Black staff will be there. Pero may turn up. I've got no idea, but some of the coaching staff will be there. And I've got no doubt they will be talking about these players and these games daily. They will be watching the games daily. This is the only time they're going to get to see these players, you would think, ahead of that November window. And it could even be the February window next year. So this is a massive spotlight on these players. And from what I'm hearing, especially those young guys, they are gunning for selection. They want to put their hand up.
Good. What about other rules? I read the first to 7 in overtime rule, which I thought that's a great idea. It saves the keeping on going thing, and I'm sure the players will be pretty burnt out if they're playing 3 or 4 games a week. Yeah, but any other rules that's self-explanatory, but any other rules that you guys have considered, tossed around, thought, how do we jazz this up?
Yeah, we did toss around a few other ideas, and as is always the case, you tend to be a little bit cautious and a little bit wary before you change everything. But the one that we came up with that we really wanted to trial was the first to 7. It'll restart with a jump ball rather than a possession arrow. So it'll go back to the middle. You have that spectacle of the ball going up and the big fellas looking for the tap to the players on the outside of the circle.
Unless you're like Nate and you drafted all point guards, then that's
you're in trouble.
Yeah.
No, but I've traded.
Right.
That's what I've done. This is assets, mate. Assets. Yeah.
The reason why we like the first to 7, and I think the coaches have said, let's give this a crack. And the coaches have a big say in these things. Let's give this a crack is, again, it gives us that sort of, I think you'll find 3-minute window that additional period will go to. And it's exciting. Teams are going to have to score. The reason we came up with 7 is because teams are literally going to have to score a minimum of 3 baskets. It's not 1 or 2. You've actually got to score 3. Team fouls will reset. Once you get to 3 team fouls, it's back to the line. So we don't think this thing's going to be decided from the foul line. We think it's going to be a 3-minute burst of people trying to hit enough points to get to 7 and get the win. So something different, and who knows, it may be something that's taken up in other competitions in New Zealand, junior competitions, domestic, midweek. You don't have double, triple overtime games. It saves a bit of time, keeps the clock regular. Who knows?
Keeps the players fresh. Keeps the players fresh as well for the tournament style type of games that go on for.
And I think if I was a fan, as much as sometimes it's great seeing those big double and triple overtime games, if I was being a fan, just that knowledge that in the next 3 minutes, if we hit our shots, we're going to win.
Yeah.
You're going to be riding every single shot because the clock's got nothing to do with it. It's about making your shots, and that's going to be exciting.
Oh, I'm excited. I know
that I'm there. I'm ready for this.
I can't wait to work it. When is so the next big dates that we're looking out for is you are going to release the overall rules, more on the rules tomorrow.
Tomorrow we're hoping to release the schedule.
Yeah,
we're very, very close to having that finished. We're just communicating with our teams tonight, actually, just before I came on here with you. So we hope to release the schedule tomorrow afternoon. Thursday, we will release all of the draft rules. And there's a lot of anticipation around that. That's the thing that's really stood out today. A lot of people are asking about the draft, so the interest level is high. Friday, we will release the details for the player registration, which will start on Monday, May 25. So get ready. It's not a hard thing. You don't have to show us your shooting style or anything like that.
Can it be one of those really easy registrations where you just say like join with Facebook? So you just click on and it just clicks through and it just takes you away. And you look through and go,
I was interested in coming to the draft.
Provided it's your Facebook page and not Tom Abercrombie's or something like that.
Yeah, true.
So that'll round out the week. At the same time, I think we're very close to announcing the venue where all of this is going to be played. Again, we are really delighted to be coming to Auckland. I feel as an NBL, and I've only been here, a year and a half, but I feel like we owe Auckland. I feel like there's a lot of work to do in that city. And, again, to think we've got 2 franchises there now is quite remarkable to where my headspace was last July, August with what was going on. So, I'm really looking forward to being up there and being amongst just a basketball mad community. And if things change with our protocols and our government restrictions over the course of this competition and we can get fans in, we'll get them in. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
We'd be more than happy to see some faces. So there's some big announcements coming up. I think the thing that you'll hear most of next week will be the stories around the players. You'll get to see the players in action at training, and you'll be hearing from a Jack Salt and other players like that saying, yep, I've registered, can't wait, want to be out there. And then all the conjecture starts. Who's going to be number 1? Which team gets number 1 pick? What's the draft order? who's going to miss out? You know, is this player going to get taken?
What is the draft order? Do you work that out as the lottery balls? How are you doing that?
Yeah.
All will be revealed.
Oh, coach's foot race.
Bloody good at this game, Justin. Very good. just stringing us along. I like that. That's cool. That is something to look forward to. And I also want to know, and obviously this will probably just be for the teams, but I'd be fascinated to see who your top rankings are. Like just on paper, who your professionals have put out there as the top sort of the draft order, how it should or shouldn't go. So.
Who'd be your number one right now? If you could take any player, Kiwi, or there's one Aussie here, obviously, that we know of in Jared Weeks, and he's a damn fine player, let me tell you.
In New Zealand, that's in New Zealand right now, Isaac Fortu.
He'd be your number one?
He'd be my number one, yeah.
I'd say Tom Abercrombie.
Tom Abercrombie?
Yeah,
okay.
On leadership as well as experience and that kind of thing. You can build a team around him. Him. Who else is there?
Dylan Bouch has been training, I'm telling you. He might be a sneaky pick.
Yes.
Dylan, man. Yeah. Sneak on defense, though. Hey, that defense, that's where he excelled. Some of those layups, though, in his later years where he would be right underneath the hoop and then he'd flick it out. He wasn't, I don't want any of that noise. Someone else take the shot.
I like it.
But he's definitely a hustler.
I think one of the things that, one of the things that's been good to hear from us is, for us, speaking with Pero last week, who's in Queensland, he was saying that talk is increasing over there amongst the ANBL teams, just the jealousy that we're about to start playing again.
Yeah.
And the players, sort of saying, hey, how do I do it? Can I get on board? Can I get over there? And there's some Kiwis over there that would be welcome to play. So, Shea Illy and, our big pledges over there, Alex Pledger. And,
the pledge hammer. The pledge hammer, bring the pledge hammer back.
The pledge hammer.
The chief, yes.
But I'm sure as this unfolds, though, there's going to be a lot of very, very jealous Australians watching on because they can't play.
Yeah, and we'll have spokespeople like our NBL players will be the ones who are doing the stuff on Instagram and doing Taco Tuesday from here in New Zealand, more Hangi Thursday or something like that.
Hangi Monday.
Anything else you wanted to get out there, Justin, before we say goodbye? And thank you kindly for all your time. Anything else you want us to push out there to everyone? There's plenty of people who are commenting in and watching right now who are obviously fascinated by it and looking forward to it. So by all means.
Oh, look, I mean, the last thing for me is just thank you to everybody. The fact is this wouldn't be possible if the people of New Zealand didn't do their bit by adhering to, government and Ministry of Health. That's the fact. Basketball's just a small part in everything that everyone's been through. I'm just so pleased for those that love the game that we've come up with a concept. Like I said, we had to change. Normal is gone. If we had have tried to be normal, the league wouldn't have survived. So we had to change and do something different. But the fact is, none of this would be possible. None of it. And the same with the Super Rugby and the netball. None of it would be possible without the unbelievable job that everybody in this country did through the course of the lockdown and the changes to our lives. So the only thing I can say to everybody is thank you. You're the ones that have made this happen. It's tough. It's been a tough time for everybody. But, from everyone at the Cells NBL to all of the community, we're getting back to work because of you. That's the reality of it. So thank you.
Thank you to you because obviously you've been having nosebleed meetings for no doubt all day long. It's a passion of yours as well. But we thank you for your time. It's been awesome. Finish that beer in one go.
You did.
You've earned it. And we'll catch up with you again soon. We wish you all the best. And like I say, if there is anything we can do to help on our vlogcast, we would love to be a part because basketball's a passion of ours. And make sure Hugh pushes Sky to cover absolutely everything. They need the coverage, so they need to get some material. So yeah, we want to watch it.
Hey, great to be on, and I mean my first time here, so thank you. And even during the competition when it comes up, invite to you. Happy to organise players. Happy to come on here myself right throughout the competition and be a part of your show. And I'm sure the players would love that sort of stuff as well. So
legend.
Love to. Good on you, man.
Keep pumping it up. Love the Cells NBL background. Good on you.
Awesome.
Have a great night.
You
Good
too,
on you.
man.
Thanks, guys.
Okay,
cheers.
catch up.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Beauty. This my favourite bit in there, Pete, is the way that he mentioned there the whole lot. Things just can't be the same, right? And it's interesting around the world. I know there was that thought with some things like, will this competition winner be valid if this comes back and stuff? And I think the thing is, it's going to be because everything about the year 2020 is going to be different, right? Because we've had this massive stall in the middle of our year that we just haven't had, I guess, from wartime as human beings. So everything has to be different. It's like, well, we couldn't play and get those done. So I like this. I like the idea of the draft, and I like I don't mind the players moving around for this, because it's a bit like, you know how interesting it is in fantasy football if you're not playing in a keeper league.
100%.
How cool it is, seeing what it is every year. It is interesting.
So you've only been able to train.
Like you can draft a better team than others, and if you get stuck with one in a keeper league, it gets really boring after.
I don't know though, man. Like I have a massive love for keeper leagues. I have a massive love, and even though players shit the bed on me, I have like I have an unwarranted hate for certain people in this world simply because I've drafted them early in my keeper league. I've tried to keep them for a couple of seasons. They've done nothing. I've been brokenhearted. I swear at them and I chuck them into the free agency, and then someone else picks them up and they blow up, and I'm like, ah! So I do have the love for that, but I know what you mean. There's nothing like a refreshed roster. I'm a little apprehensive about the idea that there's pre-picks. I would prefer them to say, look, we have 2 protected players, and then allow the draft to just happen. I want to see a proper draft happen. That would be probably my only kind of... but fuck, you're right. I mean, I have a love for the Wellington Saints because I MC'd there when I was down in Wellington working on ZM. That was I had a good. I still have a great relationship with Nick Mills.
I love the Saints.
Yeah, and I can see that they traditionally do it. When you're the top dog and you're traditionally really good, it's hard when something like this happens. It's shit because you put your heart and soul into this. He puts a lot of money into that team, and he does a lot for New Zealand basketball in that sense.
I don't necessarily think it's good though, because I think,
not for the whole league. Maybe not. It's not good
because it doesn't make the rest of the league famous. Like the name Wellington Saints is famous, but I think for a lot of these other teams, like this is the part that I think is really interesting, is because they've got a great chance here in the NBL. Everybody's looking at them. Right, and I would honestly think that about 98% of New Zealand sports fans couldn't give you each rosters of who was where in that, right? So when they move around and do the drafts, that's what makes it interesting. And it's been pretty cool to see a lot of people here interested in seeing the Otago Nuggets coming back.
Yeah, that's cool.
Been coming in.
Where's the Hut City Lakers?
Oh, I love those.
Bring back the Lakers.
Shakers,
yes.
Capital Shakers, Hut City Lakers.
Get it in.
Mountain Ears. But no, it's interesting that I mean, like, obviously a shame for me because the Hawks aren't playing. It's a shame the Saints aren't playing. The whole reason I liked basketball in the very first place was because of a dude called Kerry Boagni and Kenny McFadden.
Yes.
When they were at the Exchequer Saints, and they were the Exchequer Saints, and I just remember thinking, like, they're awesome, man. Yeah. This is amazing, you know. And then that was it. And then so I'm of the age where there was this big tall guy that played for Canterbury called Gilbert Gordon, and I just remember thinking, man, that guy's so cute. Look at this. Yes. And then, you know, and then it sort of peeled out and stuff like that. And then, of course, there was that great story of the Truth North Shore. Do you remember they had an import player? And he was leaving on his way to the airport, and he stopped in to rob the petrol station in Fanshawe Street, Caltex Street. And but the thing about it, and we know this because my bestie, his dad was the manager of the team, and he got a phone call at like 1 a.m. Do you have this guy? Because apparently in Auckland, in like I think it might have been about 1985 or whatever. You kind of were quite noticeable being a 6'9" African American guy.
Yeah,
it was really hard to sort of blend in or do some of that. But it's had great names along. I think the problem is that I think like the NBA has swamped it over the years. I think and as well as that, I mean the Breakers hold a big part too. So I think this is a wonderful bit for to get back to your like your basically your NPC of basketball. And if you haven't been involved in it for a while, I think it's a pretty cool time to have a look at it.
Totally, and I agree with you. It's probably not best for the league that the Saints go year in and year out and win, but I do not want to lose that passion that they bring to it, in the sense that, yes, I own this team, and I'm going to put everything into it that I can, and I guess this is why this doesn't fit for them, because no matter how much Nick puts into this, and the Wellington Saints, they can't. It's completely even. It's pick players out of a draft kind of thing, and that makes sense, and they would lose that starting roster, which was kick-ass roster. So
the Sharks as well, because I mean, over the years, I mean, they've had Weeks, they've had, I think Ty Wesley was playing for them and stuff like that. So those three teams have always been the ones to me which have had a significant amount of talent. So if everyone else is protecting a couple and you got that, the nice bit is that going into the draft, guys that weren't already, I guess, savable from the other teams are going to be in the draft.
Yes.
So that's pretty damn cool, man. So no, I'm excited. I'm excited about it.
Two things to quickly get through before we leave.
Yep.
at 9:30, well, probably just after 9:30 when we leave, the football show, the full 90 football show will be coming on the platform. They pre-recorded a couple of interviews, including one of them with Sir John Kerwin's son, Nico.
Nico.
Yeah, talking about the COVID impact. Nico plays over in Italy, so if I quickly go like this, you should be able to... Nate, you probably won't be able to hear this, but people will be able to see.
So you've only been able to train, presumably outside for the last, I think, did you say 2 weeks? What have you been doing in your apartment for the whole lockdown period? Because there's still a good 8 weeks or so there that you had to occupy yourself for.
Yeah, I was just with my luckily I live with my teammate, and we're just like doing strength exercises, ab workout. It's just like pretty much couldn't go out for runs, like nothing.
So what, you got lunges in there, you got some weights that you're throwing around?
Yeah, just squats. I had my girlfriend living with us as well, so I'd put her on my shoulders, do squats. nah. Put her on my shoulders, do some squats, and then we had some bands. We'll do bands work and abs and all that, just something to keep us fit.
So yeah, that's Nico. He's here he is out there squatting with his girlfriend on his shoulder, doing squats, keeping fit in Italy. They've got a cool show lined up. I'll be producing it, but that's coming up after 9:30, the first of our offerings, the full 90 football show. Hopefully I'm a little more fluent when it comes to playing the videos when the boys are talking than what I was then, but we'll see how we go. So I'm looking forward to that, and I've forgotten what the other thing was I was going to say. No, that's it. This is a personal one for you, Nato. Tomorrow, I don't know if you're going to be available, 8:30 a.m. We want to talk to Aaron Walsh. Walshy wants to talk about Michael Jordan. I know you've got your school run, but I can do that personally.
Yeah, I might actually be coming back from Hobsonville Point.
That's all right. This is just a post-meeting. You guys are involved in a post-meeting chat.
Because we won't get watching it happen.
Yeah, and then at 12 o'clock tomorrow, you and I, and if old mate's available from Australia, James Evans. Have you heard of James Evans?
No.
Young punter who's going to be going over and playing for the University of Indiana.
Fantastic.
In NCAA, yeah. He's been in touch, and we're going to do a pre-record quick interview with him. That's at midday tomorrow. I'll text him back to say you're good available. And finally, tomorrow night, everybody, if you're still watching, even though you're going through the post-planning show, tomorrow evening, we're going to be talking to the man who's going to be in charge of the career of someone who has had a career that is amazing. The coach of a certain rugby team that plays certainly down south, that one Bender will be playing for. We're going to talk to the coach of the Green Island Rugby Club that's going to be that he's going to be playing his club rugby for. We're going to have a chat with him tomorrow night.
I love that.
Yeah. What do you do with a player like Bender?
With a Bender, just run, man. That's wicked. Very quick sports news before we get out of here. Scott Barrett's re-signing with the Crusaders. That's pretty cool. The refs have rejected the NRL's offer at the moment, so they're in peace talks. Anyway, it goes up to some government department. And the AFL have banned Tinder visitors to players' homes. They're calling it the bonk ban. So there you go. That is all that is important in sport today. So remember, you can get this, you can share it with friends. Make sure you do so. It'll be really cool if you did. You can find us on all sorts of podcast areas, your iTunes, your Spotify, your Spreaker, or whatever. And we'll catch you back on the Daily Debrief, either tomorrow or at your convenience because you've downloaded it.
Look at you. Smart you.
Hey?
Ka kite anō. Thank you for watching. Hope you learned everything you needed to know about the NBL. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Go Huskies!